I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Cloud cover has expanded dramatically across the eastern half of the country. The surface analysis that I'm looking at right now shows cloud cover running from the upper peninsula of Michigan down to the Gulf Coast, from central Kansas east to the Atlantic Ocean. The only areas across the Corn Belt that aren't seeing clouds right now are well to the northwest. In the upper Midwest, a good chunk of Minnesota still looking pretty good. Extreme northern Wisconsin not showing at least as thick of cloud cover as what we're seeing off to the south and east. And rain is expanding. This morning the rain was basically confined to Kansas, Missouri, northern Arkansas, and starting to move eastward just a bit. Here at midday, we've seen that rain expand. We're seeing scattered showers all the way into the central part of Indiana. And honestly, if there's a surprise to me on the meteorological side here, it's the northern push of moisture in Illinois. I thought we'd see moisture go up through northern Indiana, close to I-80, and definitely into Ohio. But we've actually seen the moisture go well north. It's knocking on the door of places like Joliet, Kankakee. We're seeing action back through Lincoln. So there's been a little bit farther north push in Illinois. Now, is it substantial moisture? No. We're talking spits, sprinkles, a few tenths here and there. The good moisture still is farther south. But this is telling me that the atmosphere is very eager to get moistened up. And part of that's due to the fact that we've kind of moved temperatures out of the deep freeze. Now, we are by no means above normal across the central and eastern Corn Belt yet. I don't think we get there for another few days. But right now, the atmosphere is definitely capable of holding a little bit more moisture than it has been over the past few weeks. So we're going to watch this moisture lift north and east. I think by the time we get into tomorrow morning to midday, this should be a far eastern Corn Belt affair, Ohio, and then lifting off, of course, into the mid-Atlantic and northeast. Behind that, we're going to be seeing a couple of days of drier air, and we'll set up for another clipper system to try and work through the upper Great Lakes as we go into the start of next week. That one still looks pretty good to me. European model shows moisture that could be a tenth to maybe 3/10 before all's said and done, wrapping through. I think the temperatures are going to be cool enough that we can't say it's going to be all rain, but at the same time, I guess I'm not going to jump on the all snow bandwagon either. Should be a fairly quick moving affair, a lot of clouds, not much else. And if you get down to I-70 or even out in the western Corn Belt, I-80, go south of there, you're probably not going to feel any effects of this at all. The next good weather system that we have coming across the country hits the end of next week, and we will see a warm up ahead of that. Definitely going to be feeling temperatures well above normal in the central southern plains, and trying to see that push north. Models are trying to stair-step temperatures up a little bit, even up into North Dakota. I'm not going to go wild and crazy and to jump on the major warming bandwagon yet, but we are seeing temperatures in Kansas 15, 18 degrees above normal as we go through next week. The same thing for Colorado, Oklahoma. And then that system comes out of the central Rockies toward the end of next week. Definitely looking at the 14th, 15th, 16th time frame very, very closely. I really like the European model solution here. And what that means is we're going to be seeing a strong low park over the central plains around the 15th, let's say the night of the 14th, drawing moisture off the Gulf of Mexico. As a matter of fact, we could see a nice rain outbreak, an inch or more, East Texas, southeast Oklahoma, through the lower Mississippi Delta. And that moisture, the low is so strong, it wraps all the way up through Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, into southern Minnesota, through the Dakotas, especially South Dakota, Nebraska, and then back down the backside into Colorado, Wyoming. What I'm seeing is a very good, strong signature here, strong low, good moisture flow, and this will probably end up giving at least a quarter to an inch and a quarter inch of rain across a good part of the Corn Belt as we go from the 14th. Let's just stretch it through about the 17th. Give it a couple days to move. A low this strong will run a very high chance of maybe trying to cut off. What I think is going to keep us away from that a bit is if the ridging that models are trying to develop now, and even the European is doing this, so you'll notice I'm not going all out on the warming yet, but allowing for some ridging. If that happens, it's going to be difficult to cut this thing off underneath a ridge, I think. But it still could move fairly slow, and what I would be really concerned about is, let's just say out in the central plains, southern plains, where they could honestly use some moisture, use a rain or two. I'm actually concerned about a little bit of a dry slot working in here, so that a good part of HRW country may miss out on this moisture toward the end of next week. It's something that we're going to watch. I kind of want to see how the models work this over the next few days. Again, the GFS model is the warmest. I don't necessarily like that, but we also can't ignore the push of at least moderating temperatures farther north over parts of the European right now, the European model. So we'll see how this progresses. One thing that I am seeing, though, as I watch West Coast storm systems, we alluded to this morning, we're getting these West Coast waves just continuing to hammer Washington, Oregon, California. But as we get toward the end of the forecast window, get out there on the 19th and 20th, I'm starting to see a little bit more of a northwesterly push from these, i.e. coming in from the Gulf of Alaska. They're not there yet. These are just kind of swinging in more from off the coast of British Columbia. And so that's a sign to me that this active weather pattern may be able to expand across the country later on in the month of December here, going on through Christmas and into early 2015. The key right now will be this warming. Does it develop the way the GFS says, or does it develop the way the European is? You know the camp that I'm in. I'm in the more conservative side of things, especially over the Corn Belt. But if the warming comes, this could actually back the pattern up just a little bit, because it's going to take a strong low to dig a trough in and kind of kick the ridging, or at least even the zonal flow out. These next couple of systems that are coming in more Pacific-based, we need something Gulf of Alaska-based to kind of kickstart the cold air again. So that's what we're looking at here. South America, honestly, looks pretty darn good. The midday models really haven't changed a whole lot. I see several waves of energy coming across Argentina. Now, the forecast is backloaded, more in the mid and extended part of the forecast, but even there, I'm liking the progression. It's one of those things where it's kind of been dry over Argentina, so if we get this moisture to come in this weekend like we've been talking about, that primes it a little bit. Next week, not going overboard at midweek, but then toward the end of next weekend, the front that comes through looks very, very good. So Argentina is off of my concern list now. Of course, Brazil, if I've got any concern, it's that it might actually be too wet. But I still, even though I mentioned that almost a week ago, I haven't had anybody call me up yet and say it is too wet, Ryan. So, at this point, we'll still call it beneficial for crop development. And temperatures are definitely right in the range where we like them to be. No excessive heat coming in South America as of yet. That's what we've got in your midday forecast update. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.